Yes, welcome everyone. It's a beautiful, beautiful time. I feel that lots of integration is happening right now. And yeah, it's okay to be in a place of observation, contemplation, and calm, right? Taking steps back to reflect in order to move forward in a very beautiful way. So today, let's drop all even deeper. Let's drop all even deeper into our hearts and close our eyes, sending love to everyone in this room, sending love to Roger, receiving love from Roger as well. Just being in a constant energy exchange. Let it flow through your heart, through your being, your soul and spirit. You are a magnificent being, and change is happening always, right? Energy is always moving, emotions flowing, energy in motion, floating through us on daily basis. But what are we doing with it? How can we channel that energy? How can we integrate all that we are and be whole and complete just as we are? Yeah, let's put our hand on our chest, left or right. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Relax even more. And yeah, enjoy. Let's go.
And we are ready to begin. And we're so pleased you're here, as we say to you every time. We have waited for you your entire lives. But today you will understand it, which is why the message that we have on the screen said August 4th of 2023. And you will wonder, well, why did we have that message on that date? Because we knew where you would be. But we wanted you to understand that you are in this constant state of evolving, you and your planet. And that's what you're doing now, which is why your life is so valuable and so important right now if you decide to embrace it, if you decide to move forward, because that will be an energetic shift that you will make in your life that will cause you to live the life you're meant to have and also contribute to your world. That is all the work that we have given you. And the message that we gave you for tomorrow, last year, says you cannot fail now. Because you can, because you're going to hear what we're going to give you today, and you will understand you have never failed. You have been in this process of evolving, and you decided that you would be on the earth at this time because your planet is moving through what we've called a restructuring, meaning you're going to get things right this time. You're going to shift the balance within you so that you can shift the balance within your world. Now, your world is you. You create it, as we've said before. It's not something that's happening outside of you, it's within you. But you have an evolutionary path that you don't always understand. So we've given you a guide. Now, our guide, our messenger, has not done it as well because we had him share several things this past week. And if you wondered why he was doing so many videos and putting them out there, is because he wanted you to understand consciousness, because that's what he's come to understand. And that's all the work that we have given him. And if you were to use it, you would not fail at anything because you would understand the progression that you're moving on. And you would understand that it's very important for you to do it now because your planets are moving in ways that you have not experienced. As you said, this has never occurred in your world, which is why it seems a little chaotic for many of you. But we want you to know that all you have to do is love yourself, which is what we gave you the last time that we were here. But now we're expounding on it because you can accept more now. That is the process of you evolving in your consciousness. And that's also the process of your world evolving in what we have called your collective consciousness, but it depends on what you decide to do. And the thing that we've given you all, which you don't understand, is that if you could understand your life and your journey, you would become happy. You would become so joyous because you would understand the particular mission that you were given to be on the earth at this time. Now, our messenger had a really challenging one, as we've said, and that's why we had him share the session, the conversation that we had with you last August 1st. 2023, and you would understand it because we said it all then. But the problem is, you don't accept everything because you've been taught to believe in limitation. You've been taught to believe in that you're not capable, and you all are. And so we just thought we'd bring you a new philosophy. And when we said we gave you a new philosophy, and it's called your life operating instructions, it's because your world was moving through a dramatic shift, and it would not turn out well unless more of you came into ownership of who you are. And that's what we wanted you to do. And it's all the work that we have given you. Now, our messenger hasn't finished it. And that's why we are pushing him, because sometimes you don't move until you become afraid, until you become really uncomfortable, and then you will make some movement. That's because you fear the unknown, which we've also said. But if you could understand that the unknown of who you are is so brilliant, and this is the only thing we wanted each of you to understand, because if you do that, you would let go of all the old stuff that you have inherited from those who came before, from your ancestors, from your parents, from your families, wherever it came from. But it's within you, because there's no reason for any of you to suffer. There's no reason for any of you not to have the lives that you are meant to have, but you have to move through the process. We just needed to give you a new process. And the reason that it came through at this time is because there's a dramatic shift in your world. As we've said, there have been many of them throughout your history. And so when we got our messenger up this morning, we had him go back. We're giving you this because we feel many of you are judging yourselves that you haven't done something, you haven't finished it, well, you were supposed to do it now. You can see we got him up and we had him look at the original thing that he started creating in 2016, because that's when we had him move from his other career that he thought he was stuck in, and he wasn't, but he wasn't embracing the new one that we were leading him to. And we're saying that because many of you will find yourself in that place now, because you're meant to move into a higher version of yourselves, and it's within you. It's nothing out there, it's within you. We've just given you a way to mine it, to uncover it, and that's what it is. So we had him look at Plato this morning. See, because in 2016, when he first started trying to put this together, we gave him quotes from all these philosophers and historians and scientists and all those people who had come before, because he knew that that information was given to him in this consciousness, which is why we told you on January 1st of 2012, infinite intelligence. You all have it, because consciousness doesn't go anywhere. It always exists. You just don't really understand it, or you don't accept it. And that's gone on throughout your civilization. But then there's certain beings who will come into your world and decide that they're going to take on that mantle of bringing in new information, and our messenger was one of them. He didn't want to, though, because it was really challenging and difficult for him. But what happens is, when you move through it and you get to this place, as we keep talking about his age being 73, where everything has healed, he's healed everything in his body, everything that you could possibly imagine. And it came through the work that we have given him. That's how it happened, but he hasn't told you all of that. But we're going to have him do more of that, because we've said we have books that we could write. You each have something within you that is being developed now. That's the point that we want to make. And as you take the steps to move there, you will uncover it. But the main problem is, and why many people have not listened to us, is because you don't want to look inside. You think there's something scary in there that you're going to uncover. And we're saying, no, there's something brilliant within all of you. You're all connected to source. You're all connected to God. You're all that is. And so all that happens over time, we're talking about your linear time, is you start to understand it. And you can look at the messages that we gave you on the screen. You can see how we did several years. But we're going to go back a little further, because we want you to understand everything that we have given you. You're all connected, and you have an energetic connection to the universe that shows up at the right time. When our message wrote our first message that we gave him when he became willing, that was on February 19th of 1989. You see, we want you to understand that, because if you go to our site, anyadvicefortoday.com, you will see that message. And we showed you that throughout all of the years, because that was a very important time, there was movement that was happening on your planet. And there are certain events, certain things that were created on that day that had a dramatic effect on your planet. throughout history. And when we gave him that message on the first day, because he was bringing in something that was going to have a dramatic effect on your planet if more of you were to believe it and understand it. That's why we gave it to him. And then we told him that everything that we had given him recently, that if you go back to 2023 and look at all the messages, they will be in alignment, which is why we could say that we gave you the message for tomorrow, because knowing that you would be here today, we said you cannot fail. That is if you decide to take the movement into your next version of yourself. And we're talking to our messenger as well, because we advised him to change things because he hasn't finished. But that's all of you. You're never finished, but the change that you will make is in your consciousness, you see. And then what happens is you love yourself, because that's the only reason for your birth, is to come to love yourself. Whatever your journey was, whatever you were given, it was a process for you to move through anything you thought was an obstacle, which they weren't. They were just things that you accepted, that if you were to let go of them, just think of how wonderful your world will be. Now, we're saying we know that this is going to take a while because your world looks a little crazy right now. That's what we've used because that's how it seems to you, but it is not. It is something that it was meant to be now so that you could evolve to create a better planet. And we've given you the information to create your better lives and also your world. Now, we know that others will listen to this session at some point and they won't always get it. And we want you to understand that because they won't be able to hear us, just like you haven't been able to hear everything we have said. And also, our messenger didn't even know what we had said to him. We're saying this because you each have something like that within you. It gets uncovered and developed as you live your lives. That's all. But the one thing that happens is most humans don't want to look inside. This is why we brought up Carl Jung so much, because we wanted to speak on synchronicity because he discovered that. And we've given you messages that showed you the synchronicity as the one we gave you today. You're all connected, and you have these, you're eternal spiritual beings, which we know is a concept that's challenging for many of you. However, if you were to accept it, you would understand some of the things that are happening in your lives that you don't understand or you can't figure out. That's because they're connected to something that happened before, maybe a different lifetime, maybe another existence that you don't remember. But as you live this lifetime, you're meant to move over whatever was challenging, difficult, and cumbersome, let's say, that was restricting you. And that's why we are here, and that's why we're doing this today on this new moon, because this new moon is a very powerful one, and there's a line with so many things. And as we've said, when you come into the physical plane, you have a genetic code, and it's implanted at the time that you're created, your conception. That's when it happens, and it's connected to the energies of the stars. And we've said that our messenger, who was a double Scorpio, that's about transformation and rebirth, and he's done all of that throughout his life, so he could bring through this information. But then he also has a Leo moon, and this is the Leo season, and this is Leo, the moon today. Well, of course, he was going to understand more. You each will do that when you get in touch with who you are and your unique code, which is why in 2012, we gave you each a message for your birthday, because we wanted you to understand that you were never lost. You were never disconnected. You just keep continually understand who you are. And as you make that journey, you start to become happy. And then you start to move to that place many of you call the fifth dimension, but that's the work that we've given you. We've said we've given you an ascension guide, and that's why we wanted you to see it. But it wasn't just for you, it's for all of you. It's for your planet. And so if you read the message that we have given you that's on October 19th of last year, you can read it there, because we wanted you to understand that some of the things you're feeling are might be old. We say your fear, anger and hatred might be old. You see, it's not you. It's just something you accepted and decided to believe, you individually and your world collectively. And we have given you something that you can move beyond that, you individually and your world. It just depends on how many of you are going to accept it. That's what we wanted to begin with today. And now we're going to take your questions, because we have felt them all and we can give you all the answers now. And that's what we're so thrilled and we love doing.
All right. You guys know exactly how this works. I am not going to even put up on the screen that Q&A is on. It has been on. You guys have been asking your questions, and I invite you to continue to do so. But we're going to start with the questions that you guys submitted originally, and then we'll move into the Q&A. So the first question: I feel like I'm in this unknown place. A lot of things are fading away. career, family, and friends. At first, this was scary, and now I'm finding the beauty in it because I feel like I can create anything, and the possibilities are truly endless from here. However, I do find clarity around what I want to how do I find clarity? That's the question. How do I find clarity around what I want to do and what I want to create in my life? What really is feasible? What do I really want to do? Will it support me? Will I know it's the right thing for me? I want to move mountains because it feels right, but I don't know what I'll do when I get there. I feel this pull in my heart, balance with my mind. And as always, thank you so much for your guidance and support.
We love you so much, and we could not have asked for a better question to begin. This is why we gave you all the information as we started, because we wanted you to see that our messenger started uncovering this in a long time ago, what he was meant to do, but he couldn't let go. And so now is a time where you're each supposed to do that. Now, the reason you don't know, we just want you to accept this. It's been talked out of you. It's been programmed out of you. You thought you can't do it, and we've given you so many messages just in this week. We said there are no limits to what you can achieve. It's just in your consciousness, which is why we have been giving you so many messages to understand consciousness, because that is how you perceive yourself and your world. And your consciousness has always been limited or restricted because you came from a lineage that told you you couldn't do certain things. And so, but you guys are supposed to move that now. That's why you're here. This is why we've said it's a restructuring. So we're so pleased because you just did something else. You said that at first it was scary, and that is how it feels for many of you, because you're going into this unknown place. And then you discover, oh, wait a minute, I don't even know what I want. That's because it's been talked out of you. We just have given you a way to keep uncovering it, because that's what it's like. We call it peeling the onion, so to speak. But you will start to see that you had something you were meant to do, but you're now, but it's coming about now, because if you were to do it, the energy that you would put in not only your life but into your world would be exactly what we wanted. But we want you to be patient, which is why we said our messenger hadn't moved, and he's allowing his life to be in a little mess because he couldn't accept what he was given. The same is true for you, but it's a process. And so we want you to but we're so pleased that you felt that you knew it was feasible and you could do anything. You can. That is that other dimension that you each move to, where you see, I have this power, I have this ability. And this is why we wanted you to read the message on February 19th, 1989, because it's on our site, because you can see our messenger had that same problem. He thought, I'm covering something, but I'm afraid of this. I might use it in an ego-oriented way. And most of you have that, and some of you have that to a degree. But when you move over your ego leanings, you have everything that you want. And what we mean by that is the ego that tells you that you're either not enough, that you don't have enough, or that you're better than someone else. And all of those are incorrect, because you're all equal, which is what we keep trying to get you to understand. You're unique individuals with unique plans, and you're all supposed to live them. And when you do, you have these great lives. So thank you for what you're doing, because we know that it's uncomfortable, but you're making the right choices. And we just don't want you to judge that you don't have the clarity yet. You will. It's a process, which is why we've given you the message that we had on the board, where we said you evolve individually and collectively over time, a moment at a time. But you're on a great place, because we felt the excitement when you knew, when you could feel, wait a minute, I can do anything. And that's what we're going to keep guiding you to do. Thank you.
I keep hearing that we accepted certain things when coming into this plane.
Mhm.
I understand I understand that on an intellectual level, but how do I actually know that? Is it just continuing to believe?
Yes, it's continuing to believe, and then you know it when your life starts to go in a different way than what you're being guided to do. And that's what our messenger has demonstrated. We've told you, we awakened him in 2005 and told him that he was meant to bring in this information, but he said, no, I'm going to put that away. I'm going to put it in the closet. I'm not going to look at it. And then he could see his life kind of going out of control, because he wasn't listening to his guidance. You all have it, but it's challenging at times because it's unknown. It's outside of what is known to you. And that is the problem, which is why we had him see the Plato thing again this morning, because that's what Plato came to understand. And then all these others came later, his students, which is what you all are, because you come from this intelligence, this infinite intelligence that you keep carrying forth. But you're in a place now where you're going to start to understand the next steps you're meant to take. And it feels good when you do it. And when you're not doing it, you feel trapped. You feel like you can't do anything, and then other things in your life start to fall apart. And we've demonstrated that again with our messenger. And so, which is why we're advising all of you to no longer do that. When you have evolution, you have those beings who will come in and learn certain things to give to the rest of you, so that your consciousness individually and then collectively starts to ascend. And that is what we have given you, and that's what you're all doing now. So yes, we're glad that you have been awakened, because you asked that question because you can feel that it's there, and it's going to be uncovered. We just want you to be patient, as we said, and it will start to become apparent once you break down the barriers that have been existing in your thinking, which has probably been since your childhood, that told you it wasn't supposed to be you. We're saying, yes, it is. And it'll just keep going, and it'll start to unfold. And we love that you said, do I just keep moving in faith and belief? Yes. That's always it. We gave you a message. You said the only problem is your lack of self-belief. That's with any of you. So don't worry. That's something that you have to develop, because it's been talked out of you for so long. But now is a great time for you to own it. Thank you so much for that question.
I keep hearing that we do not have choice. So, for example, the idea of getting triggered, sometimes it just happens. Can you talk about this?
Yes, we just did. So thank you for bringing that up. You do have choice, and you have choice of how you react to the trigger. The trigger is coming up because it's alerting you to something within you that you shouldn't have, that you either accepted from something that came before that's keeping you limited. Your higher self now is awakening you to that particular trigger. We would like for you to embrace it, which is why we've given you so many processes to look at those uncomfortable things and say, why is it there? It shouldn't be. I should be feeling good. Why am I reacting to this? Because it's an unhealed portion of your evolutionary path that your higher self is just saying, here, look at this now. We've given you many, many messages, but our messenger went through that too. He was moving through something at one time, and he couldn't figure out why he was reacting. He was triggered by some event that seemed so totally unrelated to who he was and what he was experiencing at that time. And so we just said, sit and think about it for a while. And this is why we came up with the idea of sit in it. And he did. And then it came to him, oh, I understand now. I was being needy. I was just thinking I wasn't okay unless somebody else told me I was okay, or if I was attached to something else. That's why you get triggered, so that you can come to more empowerment and self-belief and authenticity. That's what we want for all of you. So don't fear the triggers, and you do have a choice. The choice is always how you react to them. And so we just want you to question why you would be having it. We gave you something else, and we wanted to bring you this now. We said your emotions are not an end to themselves. They are designed to lead you to your beliefs. Your beliefs may or may not be based in truth. Truth is that you are wonderful beings and you came with everything. But when you're feeling something else, you've just lost track of that for a while. But you always come back to understanding it as you keep staying on your path of ascension or evolving, or however you call it, but it's all the same thing. You come to a greater awareness, and it's always a higher state of consciousness, which is what we gave you and why we've been having our messenger talk about consciousness so much in the last several weeks, because that's what you're all going to deal with, especially in your world over the next coming months. That's why we wanted you to have this. Thank you so much for that.
Can you talk about ancient Lemurian techniques we can use to quantum heal?
Yes, we've given them all to you, which is why our messenger healed. This is why we've been talking about his healing. We've been talking these last couple of months, actually, for the longest time, we've been talking about everything that doesn't make sense that he has healed, because there's ancient wisdom that has been there, which is why we've had him reveal his Akashic records reading. He didn't remember any of that, but it's part of his being. And so he could see that he was this person. We went back to Egypt. That's where they took him. to understand that what he was doing there was this particular thing where he was covering up minds, but this time in his life he was supposed to open the minds. And so that is ancient healing. And once you understand it, because we said that's why we talked about infinite intelligence, it's always here. And so when you have them, we've given you things to have mind-body connections, and he's demonstrated all of them, because it didn't make sense some of the things that he was being able to heal, except it does make sense when you know that the way that it happens is that you become aligned with your authentic self. You see, that's why we've been guiding each of you to move to that place, because miraculously all these things start to fall away. And this is why we've had him speak about it. But as we said in that message, if you listen to the last one, he was holding back a little bit as well, as you all do, because you don't understand and accept it right away, which is why we gave you the message we did today. Thank you.
Okay, now we've got two submitted comments here. Sending you lots of love and appreciation, and also love Stan, love Yarna, all the team, love all things Roger Burnley, and love the guidance from Wilhelm. Sending appreciation to all.
Thank you. We must say that you have no idea how much Roger needed that, because the other day he said, I think I'm just going to give up. He says, I'm just going to stop. And many of you have felt that. We want to bring that up because you felt that. Because, see, you're being asked to move to a new version of yourself and you're resisting. He was resisting. And that's why he felt that way. I'm just going to give up. And then he gets confirmation like that. That gives him more fuel, because now he says he can't. He has to keep going. And that's with all of you. We're saying this because you are each that important, which is what we wanted you to understand. Your life and everything that you have lived, and you'll see that in that session we shared a year ago. You'll see that your story, it's important. Each of you, it's unique and different, but it's important because you're a unique soul and you were meant to be on the planet at this time. So thank you for that.
Okay, now moving into the Q&A that all of you are bringing into the space right now. And you guys are getting your questions in, which I love. Okay, so next question here. How do I know God is speaking to me?
You know, because you couldn't have asked that question. You could not have asked that question unless you knew it. You're just not willing to listen. We've said that too. We said you're always hearing it, but you're not always willing to listen. And so you know because you asked it. Now, we're saying that, and we're so grateful that you have that awareness, because your planet needs so much more of that. As we've told you, we told our being he was meant to bring in science, spirituality, and human development, because the spirituality aspect of it, which is not about any religion, as we've said, the work we gave you surpasses any kind of religion, because we want you to understand that you're all souls and you're all supposed to be here. It doesn't matter where you came from, what race, what gender, none of that. And so you understand that. That's why you asked that question. And so now we'll tell you that because of that awareness, that's something within you that's being developed now, that you're going to come to more ownership of that, and you're going to be able to help so many others because of your expanded wisdom and knowledge that's beginning to come through. So thank you for your bravery. Thank you.
Hello, Wilhelm. Thank you so much. I want to become a healer, but as everyone knows, there are infinite beings. Are healers needed?
Yes. Yes. How do you think anything happens? None of you know consciousness. None of you know anything, which is why we said there are certain people who come in to bring new information, and our messenger was one of those, even though he resisted, but that's okay. You all resist at times. But he wanted to show what was possible, what you can do. And then to be at this age where he keeps getting younger, that's what can happen for all of you. You see, that's why we want you to understand it. So healers are needed. And that's the most, oh, we can't even tell you how much that is needed, especially now, because you have so many beings on your planet who are unhealed, meaning they're not willing to look at the things that are in their DNA, in their genealogy, in their lineage, that is that is traumatic, that is generational trauma. That's why we said this is a generational change that you're all moving through. So yes, healers are needed, and you are one, because again, That's why you wanted to ask that question, because you think, well, I won't be enough. I won't be needed. Yes, you will, because the people that were going to come to you are going to be the ones who will need the information and wisdom that you have gained through every life experience that you have lived. And you know this because you felt it. And so you're just doubting that there would be a market or a business for you. And we're saying there is. And so, yes, you are needed now. So thank you for being here.
All right. Hello, Wilhelm. Thank you for everything. I am fascinated by the Mandela effect. This is something that is different than what everyone remembers. This is
Mhm.
common with songs and movies, but I wanted I but I used to learn that our heart was left of center, but now apparently in the center of our chest. Is it possible to change our collective memory? And why the fascination?
Well, the fascination is something you're about because you're focusing on the physical stuff. We're saying your heart is all of you. Your heart is throughout your entire being. Now you can look at your physical form, and there's a general consistency of where it's located in your bodies and your physical bodies when you're on this 3D plane, and that is absolutely true. But you have something else that's coming through, and we love that, and you just didn't see it. The reason you're asking that is because you're feeling this heart, this feeling throughout your body. And that's what we want you to embody, because it doesn't matter where it is. And you have these bodies in physical form, and they just do their thing. You use them so that you can understand and evolve your soul. We've said that before as well. That's why we said you're not on this earth for that long. Who knows how long you're going to be here? You could, you may decide that you're going to leave tomorrow for whatever reason because you're done with what you're meant to do. But your heart will tell you that, and that's a part of your entire being. And so it doesn't have to be separated. But you are having that question because you've come to a greater awareness, and we're so pleased. And we don't know what you're going to do with it, but you're going to develop it in some way that you're going to bring greater awareness to your planet. And we're thrilled about that. So thank you for that question.
Yes, and keep those questions coming. And we've got plenty of time. Uh, yeah, so hit that Q&A button and send your questions in. Uh, Here's the next one. Because of the messages on the specific dates and different years, my life seems like it's a spiral of sorts.
Mhm.
Do I determine how far apart the rings are by the steps that I take?
No. You don't determine that, you react to them because the planets, you're all energy, we're saying. Okay, now we're going to try to put this together in a way you'll get it. You each have these evolutionary paths that you are on. You're in physical incarnation at this time, but your planets are doing something else too. And so you're either going to go along with the energy that they're emitting that are guiding you to a higher state of existence, hopefully. So you react to that. And so you can't, it's not that you can change that. It's again how you react to it. Do you go with the changes or the energies that are being presented to you, or you're going to push them away? And when you're pushing anything away, it's because you're resisting yourself, because you're all part of the universe, and you just decided that you would be in existence during this time. And we're saying you did that because this is the most incredible time on your planet if you decide to move through all the old stuff, which is what we have given you, because there's so much of it that exists in your world now. And so the more of you who decide that you're going to move to a higher state of understanding, then you will have that happen. So you are not changing that. You're just aware of these changes. The reason that we pointed out, and we've had our messenger put so much out about this, he's received information over time, which he didn't know he was doing, that are connected to the changes on your planet, the energetic shifts on your planet. That's all. And he was just able to tap into a different consciousness, which is us. So we gave him all of that, but he didn't understand it. He's only beginning to understand it now. And so that's why we keep revealing more to him, as you will reveal more to yourself, because that's what's coming about. But we will say that you have an awareness of this spiral, and that is beautiful, which is why we gave you the first message today to show you that spiral that happened on all the August 4th. Now, we could take you back through many messages, which is what we're going to have our messenger do at some point, because we've given you many days where we've given you messages over various years so that you would understand that progression. You progress in your own individual path over time. You have to use linear time, and otherwise you can't really assess what you gathered unless you use that. And then you start to realize you're in a different place, but you always have choice. That's the other thing too. Someone you ask them, do we have a choice? You always have choice. You have free will. It is always within you. However, sometimes you don't use it. You don't take it because of fear, which is why we had our messenger write the book on fear, because we know that is the thing that holds most of you back. And so just understand that you do have choice, and you know if you're making the choice that is best for your highest good because you will feel good. Thank you.
I just want to read a quick little thing from the chat here. Presence and quality of presence brings healing frequencies as well. The more conscious you are, the more consciousness you bring through your very presence.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. Yes. And this is why we keep talking about your essence. We've given you many messages talking about your essence because we want you to understand has nothing to do with what you look like. It has nothing to do with where you came from. None of that stuff. It's your energy. It's what's within you. It's your soul. So thank you for that.
Why did Wilhelm choose a being that must listen to the recording and become aware of the information?
Because you don't hold on to it. We say that we have given you everything and we've given you a demonstration. We showed you how our messenger sat down every day for all those years and sat and wrote and received the guidance that we were giving him. No, he didn't know why he was doing it. He didn't even know why he was saving it. But then when he goes back and reads it now, guess what happens? He understands more. He can see it now. See, we can take him back to these messages that you can see that we've given him many, many years ago. At the time he was receiving it, he couldn't understand it all because we're giving him cosmic guidance, and he had to live his human life and move through all of his barriers before he could accept it and understand it. You each do that. You do that individually and you do it collectively, which is why we gave you that message. But now is the time where more of you are starting to understand because you have a collective consciousness that is opening so much more, and because it's really prime and the energies of your world are allowing that to happen if more of you do that. And so that's why we want you to understand the process of it. And so you actually have so much awareness of that, which is wonderful. Thank you.
Why is there fear?
For so many reasons. We've given you all of them. We thank you for that because now we'll sell more books. Every reason for fear we have given you, and we put it in the book called Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom, because that's how you get there. Because you will understand how you use it, because sometimes you use it in very different ways. Sometimes you will use fear, as what we've talked about today. We had to use a little bit of fear for our messenger today to get him to do this, because he said, if you don't start moving ahead, you're not going to be able to eat anymore because you're just not giving out what you came to do. That's all of you, by the way. It's all energy. That's all that it is. And so the fear sometimes motivates you. Oh, wait a minute, something might happen, then I'll react. Now, again, we told you in the book, we would rather you act without the need for the motivation of fear, but sometimes you use it. And the other reason you have it is because you're afraid of the unknown, because you've been taught that since birth. Again, we gave you the analogy of thinking of your gestation period, which you're all moving through that now. Your planet is doing that as well. However, that period where you're in the safety zone in the womb, you feel safe. And then when you're asked to come out of that, you start screaming and going crazy. And that's what's happening in the world. Now you see all the big people all over your planet who say, no, we don't want change to happen. Well, your planets are going to keep changing. So what are you going to do about it? This is where your free will comes in. So you can decide that you're going to hold on to what was old, or you're going to move into what is new. And that's what you're all doing. And so many of you are becoming aware of that now. We're so glad that you are. Thank you.
Keep your questions coming, everybody. When will we have open contact with beings from other universes, and how can we prepare?
You have them now. They're around. Not all of you are going to see them, but you're having an affinity for that, so you probably will. There are things happening in your skies that you will see other things, and that's coming about, and there'll be more a breaking of that veil that you can see because you're not the only beings that exist in your universe and your galaxies, but you haven't experienced all of that. Now, all of you will not have that. And if it's not part of your path, of your plan, then you won't be able to, you won't see any of that. We don't have our being look at any of that stuff. We said, well, you'll get there when it's time, if that's an element. But right now, we need you to do this. And that's for many of you. However, you have an interest, let's call it, that is there. And so we would advise you to study so much more because you're being led in that direction. And so if you could bring in more information, this is why we said study, because then you won't be afraid of what might be happening or what you might see. And then you can help others not be so afraid, because that's basically the thing that happens within you individually and your planet. You become afraid, and then you hold yourselves back, and you hold back the development that could happen in your world. So thank you.
All right. So as we wait for more questions to come in, and we just have another comment here in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
We are afraid of going within ourselves because we are afraid to feel, mainly, and we want to see beings from other planets. How interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that could be part of it. And so, but the main, yes, that is exactly, that's really a lot of it. But we speak of that in a little different way too, because you all have gone through these periods where you see what's called your conspiracy theories, and you do that because you have to make up something that you don't understand, something that exists outside of your known reality. You can't, that's uncomfortable. You see, this is why you stay in places where you're stuck in your lives or in your world, because you've known it and it's comfortable, even if it's uncomfortable. And that will make sense to you. What we're saying is that you stay in positions that are not giving you what you want, but only you do that because you know what it is, and the unknown becomes too frightening. And so that's what you're all moving through now. And we're just urging you each to become courageous enough to love yourself, you see, because that's what happens when you make the step into that unknown of who you are and what you were meant to bring to this world, to this planet, and especially at this time. It is so incredibly vital and valuable.
How can I integrate the things I have learned intellectually? Is it just believing more, or are there practical things that I can do?
Yes, and we've given them all to you because we said if you do anything consistently, and as you see, the message that we gave you today, as you look at the bottom of it, it says the one that we gave you in 2012 is about focus. And so what we were meaning that you can focus your attention, because that's where you create and direct anything, and that's focused attention as we've given you. And so when you start looking at what the thing is that you want to create, start creating it. And you do that by envisioning it, using your imagination, letting it grow. Nothing that you are going to create you can see, and that is the challenging part for all of you, because it's something that happens in the unknown, in the ethers, so to speak. But you can start developing that now by starting to allow yourself to have the vision of what you want to manifest in your life, and that would be the most valuable thing that you could possibly do now. And as we give you these answers, please, if you need more clarification, please come back, because we will absolutely give it to you.
Why does old knowledge come back into our consciousness at this time? Is it because we have reached a certain point?
Yes, because there's a shift that's happening in your planet, and there are different shifts, and all of these are connected to the energies and movements of your planets. And as we've said, we've given you and pointed out certain times. We have mentioned 2012 because that was a really a great one, but there were others as well. We even took you back to ones that you could remember in this lifetime, to 1987, where you had your harmonic convergence. Not many people understood that or even knew what it was, but it was a time where a greater amount of individuals on the planet accepted a higher state of consciousness. And so, and what we gave you in our work was another way to accept another higher state of consciousness, which you all will use, and then someone else will come about later and create another one. That's why we're saying you have infinite intelligence and you build upon that. It grows over time if you decide to use it. However, there's been a great imbalance in your world, which is why we needed to bring in something else. That's what we said we needed to, because we wanted to see a world that you would all love. And we wanted all of you to have lives that you would really like living. And so that's why we did that, because the information we said at this time in your world, you must let go of your old grievances. You must let go of your hatred and anger about yourselves and about others, because that is the energy of change that you wanted to bring in now. And so those periods have happened over different civilizations. And we also said in the last time, a year ago, we said that you had civilizations that are no longer, because the people who had existed at that time didn't do what they could have to sustain them. This is why you hear the ideas are talking about Atlantis, which is another thing that Plato brought up. So when you see those ideas, these are archetypes, these are things in your consciousness, because you're just in physical bodies, because we said for a while, but your consciousness is forever. And this is why we gave you the idea of understanding infinite intelligence, and why we had our messenger look at all the great minds who have come before. And he knows that all of that is in this work that we have given you. But we've said that many times you don't believe us until you start to experience something or see it in a different way. But that's within each of you. So we just want you to trust it and be patient with it all. Thank you.
Why is this new moon so important?
Oh, because of the shifts in the planets. There's a configuration that's happening now, and then with other things, and it's all aligned. And then you're moving into another thing, which you all call, which is Mercury in retrograde, which is just meaning that planets are moving in a different way. But many of you think that have built up the idea that this is a really challenging and difficult time that you might move into. And we're saying no, it's not, because we gave you a message that as it begins tomorrow. We said no, you cannot fail now. It's just giving you a time to go within. It's giving you a time to just kind of dispense from the outside world and come into loving and understanding who you are. So we want you to value that time, and we've given you many messages. And if you go to our site and you look at the messages that we have given you in August of 2023, if you read them from today on, you would see that we've given you an alignment. Now, our messenger will change them as things happen, because the energies will change. But at that time, when we gave them to him, we knew exactly where you would be. And you can't figure that out in your logical minds, okay? So that's something, that's where you get limited. He couldn't figure out how we had given him all of this over these years, and he didn't know. None of you know. It's within you. That's why it has to be brought out. So this is a great time for you all to do that.
Is it necessary to formulate certain things or intentions on August 8th during the Lion's Gate?
It's not necessary, but it's valuable, because there's energy there. And so there's a collective energy that will be there. Now, there's several things that will happen. We want you to understand all of this. The planets will move, and they do that all the time. And so, yes, there is an available energy. But now what's happened over generations, more of you have become aware of that. So now collectively, you're going to be looking at that day and you're going to be expecting something. And that expectation will be of creating something much greater and using the power of that energy to do so. So it's become even more than it could have been maybe hundreds of years ago, before you started really understanding that level of consciousness. But you all have it, and you have it because you brought that up. And so you're going to make great use of this on that time, because we want you to think about what you want in your life. We want you to start envisioning what you want to see and how happy it's going to make you and what that's going to be. And then you're going to have this infusion of energy that will come in. And then if you look at the message that we gave you on August 8th of 2023, you'll know what you'll have a head start. Let's just say that.
Can you talk more about about Lemuria and why this information has been forgotten over time? I hear it was an incredible place.
Yes, and that's what's going on. That's why we said you're having a restructuring. There are certain elements that existed in other civilizations, which is we also go back to the Hermetic principles, because many of you had that information during that time where you didn't have all the divisions and all the other things that are going on that you've created over all these centuries because you started forming ways of controlling one another. That's really what's happening. You started inventing ways of having more power and having more control over others. And this is the thing that you're moving through now. And this is why we wanted you to understand, which is why we've given you our work. And so when you look at what Plato knew about this, he wanted to bring it about as well. And we're just a continuation of that, you see. And that's why we wanted you to understand. So at this time, it's a great energy that is changing and shifting. And the more of you who decide to own and understand who you are, that's going to help it move along. And so Lemuria was a time where you had this greater awareness, which we have been attempting to bring back to more of you because you loved yourselves a little bit more then. But over time, as we said when we first started doing this, we said we just wanted you to go back even 500 years because you would understand something then. Because we said that's when Martin Luther was there, and many of you were confused why we were talking about that. But he was another one who came in and saw that there was a change that was needed to make things a little bit more inclusive, more equal for many of you. And you're doing that now. So the more of you who love yourselves and move to that place, you will have this shift making a much greater awareness. And because you have that memory or that inkling of Lemuria, then we want you to own it. And please, we would love for you to study a little bit more about it. There are many people who have done videos and all of that. So just study it a little bit because it will awaken something within your consciousness that we would love for you to experience. Thank you.
Okay, we are coming to the last few questions. Uh, yes, what is Lionsgate?
It's just a portal. It's just, again, it's another energetic portal that's always happened, and there's a configuration, and we'll tell you more of this because we've given you all of this. Now, this year is we wanted more of you to move because this is a number 8 year. Again, if you wanted to study sacred geometry, maybe it'll make a lot more sense, but you don't need to even go there. Those of you who study numerology will understand. And so we gave you a message, and you'll see it on the session that we just had. Our messenger share was from August 1st of 2023, and we had a message on there called Your Story, and that was done January 11th of 2012. And if you add those numbers up, you see you get another 8. We wanted you to understand that this is a time in your civilization where you could complete a lot of things because the energy of completion and abundance, they come together. Because when you complete something, you've moved to another cycle or higher aspect of who you are, and then naturally things will start to move into your life. And so that's why this year is so vital for all of you. And so the numbers are really kind of wonderful in that way. And you can even find them when you start looking at your own numbers and turn to your birth dates and all of that. You'll get more awareness because you each are connected in individual, unique ways. So, okay, thank you.
Is the change in power of the moon external or internal? So what kind of event is it? What is changing within us when the moon uh, is when we aren't able to see the moon?
It doesn't matter. It's the energy. You don't have to see it. It's the energy. You feel it. And this is what we want you to get more into is the feeling in your heart. And so when you feel something, that's when you can make movement. So it'll be there. And some of you, and you will all respond differently. Some of you are quite visual. And so maybe seeing something is going to make more impactful for you, but the energy is always there. You can sit in your meditative state and you can feel it all. And so it's just an awareness, it's an illumination that happens during those times. And there's certain configurations of your planets that is just a little bit more powerful than other times. But we want you to understand that it exists every day in your life. And you just have to decide which choices you're going to make, which is why we gave you that first message about you will understand more. You'll understand even more today because we wanted you to see that's what happens. It's a gradual progression with you individually and also your world collectively. We just wanted to accelerate things, which is why we have brought in our work. Thank you.
And the last question here, did our pets come here with a plan too?
Yes, they're souls, they're beings. And so many of you will start to understand that and they're connected to you. And we only love that because you will find many of you have had this. Not all of you have pets or move through that, but you've had those ones that you feel, wait a minute, this is like a person. This is my family member. There's something there. There's a connection and they will gravitate to you because there's energy again. That's all. And so you just make distinctions between your different forms of animals and people and all of that, which you've always done. But when you come back to essence of spirit, you won't need those distinctions. But while you're in human form, you're dealing with human people, but your pets can help you so much into understanding that because they just want to love you usually.
And we are complete.
Thank you. We wanted to say this to you all. The reason that we did this is that we wanted you all to start to move, including our messenger, because you would stand at a pivotal time in your lives and in your world to utilize the energy of this new moon because it's immense. It's there and you've never had it before. But if you don't utilize it, then nothing changes in your life and nothing changes in your world. One thing that we wanted you to understand, the way that you're seeing things in your world, it looks a little chaotic and all over the place. It's for you because you are the ones who are meant to change it. We gave you that. And so if you look at our message on December 31st of 2012, we said you are creating the future. You come onto the earth plane at a certain time, and whenever you're here, your existence is manifesting the world that you're all going to see and the future worlds that you are creating. And we just wanted you to understand that the way that you will create that is when you love yourself. It's when you move through everything that was old and decide to prosper and love yourself and bring in more light and love. And that is what we have given you. And many of you are doing that, which we're so pleased, and we will continue to do more. Thank you all so much.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Intuition, heart, and awareness is what stays with me. Let's take that into our heart and yeah, be in a place of love, right? Integration. Let's be open to integrate what we were inspired to learn today, right? Integration is a big part. Take your time to do so. Take action to do so. And yeah, thanks for being here, everyone. See you soon.